Anyway, that's...
I have another question.
Yeah, my name is Alfredo. I'm a professor of philosophy at one of the most conservative colleges here in the city, Naya College.
It's a Christian college.
Yes, a place that I'm going to abandon in a few months because I don't believe in I just can't sign anymore that contract. That teaching contract, so I'm going to be out of teaching for now. I've been teaching philosophy here for 15 years. I'm studying philosophy. And what I get in these classrooms are kids like your niece, right? They come out, some come out of high school and they go to college. Some are immigrants from different parts of the world that want to complete their degrees and they're Christians. But NIAC is one of many colleges in New York. So when they go to NIAC, it's because they want to hold God by life. They don't want to let it go. My class becomes a very traumatizing class for the first 5 meetings. Because philosophy, just destroys your world in general. And then when I bring a feminist to do feminism, and then when we do homosexual philosophy, that really does it, right? But one thing that I've learned with my groups is that I grew up in the church. I was a Jesuit as a young boy. Then I came to Hell's Kitchen, became a Pentecostal with Asamblea de Iglesia Cristiana, right? Then I went to the CNMA, to the Church of Nazarene. Now I'm with Sarah, right? I've been a full circle, right? So, but one of the things that I find with these groups, with these kids, right, is that when I have this conversation, so I go through this whole semester, and then towards the last 3 classes, then they begin to see how much love there is in what we do. And I think Sam is absolutely correct. Philosophy and theology will never get me where relationship has gotten me. And that's what I've learned. These kids will open up, and yes, many of them are having schizophrenic relationships at home because they know that it's not workable, because when they go out to school and to the world, that's not what they see. And then they see these gay and lesbian kids that are beautiful people, so it's this big contradiction they're living. So my recommendation in my years of experience is relationship is what does it. That's number one. And second, I wouldn't go as far as tell someone like Ruben Diaz, listen, I want to hold you accountable. But we built a relationship for such a long time. I have a relationship with him in such a way that he can trust me to say something that he thinks is worth saying in defense of the LGBT community. And I tell him this, I said, Ruben, look, when you began to run for office, the church did not accept a politician as a church member could not be a politician. So he went for 15 years. How many of you remember? 15 years to be a politician. And I told him, I was a little boy when I remember you doing that. And look, now your son is the world president. Listen, this community is going to have to go through the same thing, and you need to understand what's going to be the struggle. So my recommendation is, we just have to have a relationship and struggle together. And look, some people think I'm losing my reputation. I don't give a shit about my reputation anymore because I don't feel comfortable. I'm sorry. I don't feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable about lying. So the hell with my reputation, right?
So listen, I'm thinking relationships, sociological studies show that people change with relationships. So I think one of the things we can think as people of faith is that this is where the leadership has to go, more than the congregation. When you have people of the LGBTQIQSGL community in your church, don't just leave them there without prominence. People will change when they start loving those people. Bring them on to your boards. I mean, my church is pretty open and the denomination is open, the Lutheran church, but we had a lesbian couple. We have other gay people, but the lesbian couple was more prominent because they were a couple. When you're single, you can just mix in, right? And we voted one of the parties of the couple onto our board. So it's not just tolerance, but it's total acceptance. That's where leadership could play with stuff. But I think the message we have to send out, if you're LGBT, I know it's hard sometimes, and some churches is just horrendous. Maybe find a community that's a little better. And join and make your presence known. People will have to change. People change. There's some that are diabolical that will never change, but that's a different story.
I want to say something. Yeah, I think what you said about the part is very important. I'm going to interfaith minister. I'm an interfaith minister, and what you said about the heart, that's because, like, interfaith, when I went into that study, it was like, what do I have faith in? You know, it's not, it doesn't say interreligious. I'm not an interreligious minister. I happen to be Christian, but I respect all the other religions. When you walk into my life, you're going to walk in to respect me, whether I'm gay or straight, whether I'm Puerto Rican or Dominican, whatever. So I feel that we need to change the paradigm, the conversation to how do we enter each other's life. It is about relationship. So whether I believe that my religion tells me something that, you know, I love what you said about that because I don't want to discuss religion with anybody. I want to discuss, but I'm not a leader in terms of as you are, but I want to discuss how we feel about each other, do we respect each other. When we walk in the room, we get to walk in as equals on all levels. So if we cannot walk in as equals on all levels, then what are we talking about? You see, because then there is, that's what I'm fighting for. I want to fight for that. Then I can, you know, I listen to your religious beliefs, but you gotta listen to me. And if you're not going to, you know, you cannot do it from the position that you're gonna teach me something. We're gonna teach each other, or we're not gonna teach nothing.
Well, I wanna say something because you guys are saying something that I preach. I practice what I preach, that's number one. And I run the first ever gay, lesbian, straight chamber of commerce. And one thing that I teach my business people is you need to build relationship. You're starting with businesses in the wrong level. They like change, money, money, money. But if you don't know what's the person next to you, how you gonna have a strong business if you don't know who the person you're doing business with? I was in the expo Thursday, Jacob Jarvis Center, and let me tell you, I'm very proud to say that I'm the only Latina, Puerto Rican, lesbian, chamber of commerce in the midst of all those straight business in New York City among them. I'm the only one there outstanding. And our booth was the most active. Traffic. I had people, right, Marcus was there. I had to get away from my booth because they came specifically to meet me. And let me tell you, that morning I was so sick with fibromyalgia, which sometimes gets me good days, and I had this very bad migraine in my back. Oh my God, it was horrible. And I said, Lord, get me through this day. Get me through this day. And when I get there, and let me tell you the depression, because with fibromyalgia, you know, I suffer depression. And I was like, oh, I just want to take my Puerto Rican glove that I got at home, my boxing glove, and just hang it up. I said, that Puerto Rican glove I got home, I just want to hang it up, and I just can't do this no more. A gentleman came, a straight man, wasn't gay. He came and pulled me over, and right there in my booth, I stood up, and he looked at me, and he said, I came here specifically to meet you. I didn't want to end 2016 without meeting you. And I was like, se me quitó, I took the glove back on. You know, spiritually, I took it, you understand what I'm saying? And because only those that fight, because let me tell you, us ministers, it's no joke. We get spiritually, we get home, that we have to tell Lord, take this away. I don't want to enter my home with this baggage, because when we're out there, we're constantly spiritually battling with a lot of, because this is not about, we're not fighting against flesh and blood. We are fighting an evil principality that we do not see, because what you're saying is not us. It's what people are carrying so much burden. Mental health is another issue. But when you give love, when I was 13 years old, I lived in 163rd Walton Avenue, and I remember looking, Buscando Refugio. That's why I love that song for Doris Machine, que dice, a veces me siento sola y no sé a dónde ir, cargada de pensamiento que no me deja. When that song came out, remember when I was 15, when I was 15, Olina and Baño, but anyway, I echo. Entonces, I love, let me tell you, I only like to sing worship of the Lord. I owe him so much of my life, it's just a story. Anyway, me recuerdo de los 15 años, miré esa ventana y miré hacia el cielo, porque era una niña que nunca conoció a su papá. Y yo digo, Señor, dame la fuerza, yo quiero, porque yo sabía en ese entonces que lo que falta de ser humano es amor. Y yo le dije, Señor, de todos los dones, dame amor, pero yo no sabía que cuando uno, yo y mi pastor that time, cuando uno pide amor, tú estás cargando la cruz más grande, porque lo peor es con gente que no tiene amor, que solo es yo, y que si, que tú te crees que tú eres, y todo eso tú tienes que pelear, como, because let me tell you, I got haters there too. I'm a loving person, but you could know probably in the political house, they be hating me, they can't stand me, a lot of them, because I put them in line, but I still get love. And even if they give me the red shoulders, I still get love. I hug them, because I don't have hate in my heart. Tengo coraje, but it's not hate. So when I met Martha, and Martha, how you know me? How you identify me?
It wasn't your chamber meeting, it was the Bronx chamber?
When I was the second director of the Bronx
Right,
Chamber.
right.
But how you see me as when you met me as a
Oh.
person?
A really sweet, loving person. I mean, I was instantly.
And this is business aspect. This is a straight woman.
Not just attracted to her, attached to her. It was instant. It was really instant, right?
Yeah, it was an instant touch
It
of
really
respect.
was.
But when
And
you did
then
that, Javier, you straight, how you identify me when you met me?
I think you're wonderful.
Yeah.
You are a very loving person,
Yeah.
and it just shines through.
Because when you give
I
love,
loved her.
and you give love, and you know, that's what we have to do. I think when we kill the virus, is when we live grateful. People gotta live to be grateful. No matter what, we not all was born to be rich. We not all belong to be in a happy, jolly family. I admire Pedro Julio is very blessed to have a beautiful, I adopt his family, my family. His mother adores me. I mean, I love this family. And I love my family too. Because if you interview my family, which they will have a lot of anger issues within themselves, but one thing they're gonna tell you, my sister la bombón de la familia. I could curse her out. I have my baby sister that I gave my life to. My education, I put it on back burner so she could have an education. Call me, you should see the email of disgusting that because she's angry. And she was even jealous of me for no reason. She said, I don't know, people love you. No, they right there, tú los regañas y yo te hacen caso, de que angry que tú los regañaste. Pero yo le digo a ella, es porque ponte la mano del Señor. Ponte la mano, Dios me hizo un llamado, and I live grateful. I'm grateful where I live, even though I'm being bullied there, but you gotta live grateful and give it. Give. I got so much love to give that I don't have time for stupidity. I just, when you did, but you gotta be ready to carry that cross.
Yeah, I just want to share, my grandmother lived in the Pentecostal church, and she had 18 children, which many of them were different religious. So my mother was the one atheist. She was like, I don't believe in the electrical service, so she never put a foot on the church. And I was born with a strong spiritual connection, and when I was a kid, I said that I want to be a Catholic priest, and so I tried all denominations in Puerto Rico just to challenge her that the church was good, that was community, and she always told me, the worst people are there, the most gossip people are there, and there's so much more love and outside, and I want to challenge her. So I tried all these churches, and in all of them, what I found was the same, a gossipy community and very homophobic environment. Until the last one that I spent many years was evangelical, and so we went to the youth ministry in the altar. They put us there to sing and to the altar. And one day, they stopped. They closed the youth ministry, and months later, someone told me that they closed it because there were youth in sin in the altar, and you cannot put sin in the altar, meaning that there was a gay person there, and it was a girl with a boyfriend having sex, and that shocked me. Weeks later, the pastor called me in front of the altar, said that he had a revelation that I was going to be a voice for God, and people were shocked. I mean, later they was just gossiping, and then I realized what my mother said, and then I needed to walked back from that church, realizing that I'm not gonna be in a place where I get more harm than love. So I'm better out of the church than there. And like I was very mad that I couldn't, challenge my mother that out of church I has more mental health and love and received more love from people outside the church that I was just always going there, trying to challenge them that I was gay, and I was just received, homophobic environment. But I missed that moment. And only I have, seen a light, like a light of faith when I went with Wilhemina parade. She invited me to Riverside Church last year for the Pride March. And it was so empowering, so life-transforming, seeing such a strong LGBT community empowered within the church with a transgender pastor minister. That changed my life, and I saw for the first time that it's a community, but it matters there. So I think that, and all this came from the Reverend's comments about the LGBT people within the church needs to come up and be very open. We cannot have closeted LGBT people in the church because it does more harm. But at the same time, there is a line, and that's what I'm saying this. There's a line between being open in the church and outstanding there, but at the same time, there is a line in which you get so much hurt that it's not worth it for me to get all that burden of being out and receive so much harm. And that's what put me out of the church. So what's the balance between being so out in the church and challenge those notions, but I'm not going to church to get all that suffer, all that burden. And so what's the balance in there? And at that church changed my notion, and I have faith that more of that can be done. I thank Wilhemina for that.
This is why our organization is formed, to deal with the hurt. And I'd like us, before we leave today, to see what could come out of this discussion together and how we could move forward. Because as I'm hearing people, I'm hearing people that are affirming of LGBT. What do we do with them? What is the next step? Because I think we have pastors here that we don't often see, and I really want to compliment them for being here. But most of us that grow up in a church, I grew up in a Pentecostal church, afraid of a pastor. Afraid of a pastor. Plus anything he said has always been a he, is perfectly all right. So I think we have this opportunity to see our clergy as human people. What do we do after this discussion?
I think one of the things that we can do